Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile, and this is the LetShouer DZ4, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank LetShouer for providing the DZ4 review. Greatly appreciate it. LetShouer, you rock. Alright, so the LetShouer DZ4, this will set you back $90 from your bank account. It is a quad driver, 4-driver configuration. It has 3 6mm titanium dome dynamic drivers and 1 passive radiator. It has 12 ohms of impedance, 104 decibels of sensitivity, and a frequency response range of 20 Hz to 40 kHz. The LetShouer DZ4, it comes in this kind of generic white box, got a little bit of artistic flair with it, a couple, colors, orange and black and white. A little bit of branding, and a high-res sticker. It's got to sound good. And then we also have some specs on the back. Taking off the sleeve, and you're greeted by a white box that says LetShouer on it. Nothing too exciting on the inside, so let's get right to the accessories. You get a hockey puck style carrying case. This is hard plastic, very durable. This will protect your IEMs very well. Twist off the top here, and you can see that you have plenty of room for the IEMs to sit. On the bottom of the carrying case, you have a little tray for the silicone tips that LetShouer provides. You get 2 different types of silicone tips. You get a gray, kind of clear, transparent-ish color, and then a dark black. I did notice differences between the two. The black tips, which are the vocal tips, are a little bit more grape olive shaped, and they will add a little bit of warmth, a little bit more bass impact, but you also get a little bit more one noteness in the bass. Mids will be a little bit more forward and a little bit more full sounding, and the treble will have a little less presence and a little bit less air. And then the transparent tip, which is the balance tip, will kind of give it a little bit more airy space, a little bit more extension into the treble, but you'll have a little bit less bass impact with just a little bit more clarity and a little better resolving. It won't be as one note-ish, and then it will have slightly thinner and not as forward in the mids. The DZ4 itself are a very interesting design. So the DZ4 have a very nice cable. I like this cable, good ear hooks, and it's a well-built cable, nice tight weave. You have a small split with a cinch that works very well, stays in place, and then it terminates into a 3.5. I like this cable. I like this cable a lot. The shells of the DZ4 are unique looking. You have a silver faceplate that is vented, so these are kind of a semi-open type of build. And then you have this metallic shell that has a matte finish. These are kind of like a sandstone color, which is kind of cool. You don't see that too often in an IEM, so I kind of like that. Got a little bit of branding on the backside of the shells. They're a little bit on the thick side, not too bad. And then you have a mostly flat back. So a slight wing, very, very, very slight. And then a decent amount of angle. The nozzle is okay. I wish it was just a little bit longer. Overall, though, it is very well built and it feels solid, not too heavy. And then you have some nice sealed nozzle where the tubes come out. Overall, it's not a bad looking IEM and very well built. Plopping them in your ears and they just kind of disappear. I can wear these for several hours without any issues, and they're fairly comfortable. I find that the isolation of outside noises is pretty good, probably somewhere about 55 to 60% of outside noises being blocked. things around the house and in the office, coffee grinders, vacuum machines, and things like that are going to be blocked out for the most part, muffled pretty well. You're not going to have too many issues there. You will have to take them out to carry on conversations with people. Going around the neighborhood and in louder environments, mass transit and things like that, well, you'll struggle a little bit. But for the most part, it's pretty average for a IEM. The DZ4 is fairly easy to drive. I really didn't have any issues with any dongles pushing them, DAPs or desktop. I used them with all sorts of dongles, and all of them were able to drive it with ease. Did find that the DZ4 sounds better on a little bit warmer of a source. I found that if you use something that was a little bit more cold analytical sounding, it brought out some of the treble and the upper mids, and they became a little bit aggressive and didn't sound quite as good. And then a little bit warmer source kind of tamed that and added in a little bit of body. Some of the dongles that I used, Heidi's XO, Heidi's S9 Pro, the Audio Engine DAC 3, Hibby FC3, Hibby FC4, Tantrum Space, Periodic Audio Rhodium, NextDrive Spectra X, and various others. I also used DAP's Hibby R5 Gen 2 and the Sony NWA 105, and then all the various desktop gear that you see behind me. So how do the LetShouer DZ4 sound? So the DZ4 has a unique sound signature that is mostly safe, but it's kind of somewhat unexciting, and it is often boring, and it has a lean, thin note weight, and it kind of lacks richness and authority. So the bass of the DZ4 is, what's the word? Boring. It's uninspired. It just lacks texture. It lacks impact. And it just kind of sounds lazy. It's kind of going through the motions. And then it has a decay that's a little bit on the slow side. And it often will go into one note mode. And this really comes out and is more prominent when you use the black tips. And overall, it's just kind of a ho-hum, kind of a I'm going through the motions type of bass. I really don't want to be here, but I have to do my job type of sounding in the bass. Sub bass, even though you have a passive radiator, just really isn't very good. It just doesn't have a lot of rumble and grumble. Every now and then it'll come out and play, and it'll take you by surprise. And you're like, oh wow, almost forgot that it does have sub bass. Mid bass is a little bit more prominent, but it's still, again, it's very lacking and just doesn't have a lot of impact and slam. And just like the sub bass, every now and then it'll come out and play, and you'll be like, oh, it can do it. But for the most part, it's just kind of a boring, uninspired bass. And I just was kind of, on the bass. Tone and timbre is okay when in the bass, and detail retrieval is all right. Resolution, depending on the tips, will be a little bit better or a little bit worse. The mids of the DZ4 are fairly okay. They are a little bit thin, a little bit on the lean side. It doesn't have a lot of depth, a lot of fullness to it, kind of like the bass. It doesn't really engage and have a lot of life to it, but it does have a for the most part, natural tone and timbre, and the details and the resolution are okay. Upper mids are more elevated and can be at times a little bit shouty, and I find that instruments and vocalists of the more upper octaves will sound a little bit too forced, a little too elevated, and at times can be a little bit sibilant. Tone and timbre, as I said, is fairly good and mostly natural, but instruments like woodwinds, brass, strings, and pianos and guitars at times will sound a little bit misaligned. They'll be a little bit thinner and a little bit further back on the lower octaves, and then as you get into the upper octaves, those will become a little bit too close, and they'll become a little bit sibilant, and it won't quite sound natural. But for the most part, it's a fairly pleasing mid. The treble. Lower treble has a little bit more excitement than the upper treble. The upper treble is rolled off and at times can lack air. The lower treble has a little bit more sparkle and energy and can be a little bit more engaging. But for the most part, the treble is just kind of laid back and kind of like the bass, a little bit ho-humish. It's just kind of like I'm going through the motions. And then at times it'll just take you off guard and be like, oh, hey, I can have some sparkle and energy. So the DZ4 is kind of a interesting meh, don't really care for it. Oh, hey, it's got something going for it. Throughout the mids, bass, and treble are kind of all just kind of, they all kind of do their own thing, and they don't really sound cohesive and balanced. It's more of a, I'm going to do my own thing type of sound signature. Soundstage. Soundstage is very small. It's very intimate. It's very, very close. Everything sounds close. Even a very grand sounding track will sound small. It doesn't have this grandeur about the stage. It doesn't have the abilities to really portray the different sizes and stages. Everything sounds very close and very near. It doesn't have a lot of depth. You can kind of just see a little bit into the stage. It doesn't do really good with layering, and things just don't have a lot of space and a lot of movement. Everything's just kind of right here in this little area. It doesn't really breathe and expand out and show you differences. Tracking of instruments on imaging is actually rather good within the size of the stage that it does. You can follow things across the stage, and it does a pretty good job of placement. You can kind of go, it's in this neighborhood, it's over in this neighborhood, but it's not really precise, like honed in, laser point perfect, but you can tell it's on the right side, the left side, and there's no three blobbish. It does smoothly transition across. But for the most part, it's a very small, intimate, a little too close for comfort type of stage. Detail retrieval and resolution. The details is decent. It does a good job with detail retrieval. You're not really going to get anything new and exciting here. It's pretty average, but it's good for a $90 IEM. And then resolution is all right. It's not anything really that great. This is not a technical beast in any way as far as an IEM, but it does an okay job. Other than in the bass where it gets a little one note-ish, the resolution is all right. And then tone and timbre, as mentioned, the upper, mids, and lower treble region is a little too elevated and it can thin things out, and it doesn't quite have the body weight that it should, and things don't quite sound fully natural, but they're not off-putting either. So overall, DZ4, it's kind of a interesting listen. It doesn't really annoy me to the point where I don't want to listen to it, but it also doesn't really inspire me and make me want to listen to it. It's just one of those other IEMs in the price point. Even though it has really cool technology in it, it just seems like it's a little bit uninspired and a little unexcited to show off its capabilities with the different technology. How does it compare to a couple other IEMs? Well, it sounds kind of similar to a TRUTHEAR Zero Red, but it doesn't really compete with the Zero Red. The Zero Red has better note weight. It's more full. It's more engaging sounding. It has more energy to it, and it sounds inspired, and it sounds excited to give you the music. And it has the Zero Red has better controlled mids and treble. They're not as elevated and as forced. You don't get as much sibilance and hotness as you do with the DZ4. The Zero Red is just more pleasurable to listen to, very similar in detail retrieval and resolution. And then you have the LetShouer Galileo. Now the Galileo is a little bit more pricey, and the Galileo definitely is superior to the DZ4 in all ways. It is more natural and accurate in its tone and timbre. It has better note weight, and it has a better details and resolution, and it is more controlled through the mids and in treble, and it has a more accurate sound stage, and it is more pinpoint in its placement, better depth and layering. Overall, the Galileo is just a superior IEM. So the DZ4, unique driver configuration and technology, and a cool looking design, but unfortunately it's just uninspired and unexcited to show off its technology, and it just kind of fails in the hype, and it doesn't really exude any energy. It's just a boring, safe presentation. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of ways that you can contact channel, follow channel, support the channel. All that kind of stuff is listed down below. Speaking of supporting the channel, there's many ways that you can do that through Patreon and YouTube memberships. I do want to thank all my patrons and YouTube members. It is much appreciated for all that you give to the channel. It is much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out those links. And you can get access to my private Discord servers or one-on-one conversations and private live streams with fellow patrons and YouTube members. And lastly, don't forget to check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of other information on there, like gear rankings and tier lists and music recommendations and all that kind of stuff. And don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.